I made a presentation in which I can share with you some of the strategies that I think are the most effective strategies in terms of dating. It's critical that we develop an idea of what we need in order to be happy. What I tell people most of the time is that in order for you to be able to be effective, you need to know what you need. You need to create what's called the top 10 list, and in that top 10 list, focus on the critical areas that you feel are the great middos that you need to be happy. Many of the people that I see today are falling victim to Western culture and Western deception, and I'll show them great profiles and they say to me, not my look, not my look. So I'll say to them, how do you know what your look is? You can't possibly know what your look is. If you sit down and map out a strategy of a top 10 list of middos and combine that with good healthy dating, you'll get to your look. I'll just give you an idea of what I've seen in the last 5 or 6 days. A Beis Yaakov graduate in Belgium calls me after being married 90 days. Having dated 3 times, and when I asked her questions like, did you look forward to being with him? Not really. Did you have common hashkafa? I'm not really sure. Did you see any warning signs that there could be problems? For example, when I sit with the girls, I always tell them, look out for 3 areas. Kamtan, Kaptan, and Kasan. These are the 3 things that I told my daughters always to be on the lookout for. Does the guy have an anger issue? That's Gehenim. Is he cheap? Meaning, is he lacking in generosity? That's also a crisis. And Kaptan. Is he inflexible? 3 areas you got to look out for when you're dating. And in this particular scenario, the guy had a horrible mean streak to him, and she ignored it. And unfortunately, that led to divorce. Thursday night, a girl from Lakewood was sitting with me, originally from Montreal. Same story. Lack of compatibility. When they become 22 or 23 years old, they start to panic. She was from a more Hamish home. He was from a more yucky environment. And as a result he wasn't flexible. They're already fighting about the most trivial things. Where to go to the restaurants. And she got engaged and she didn't feel it, but she went forward with it anyway. Disagreeing over, he's demanding that she has to wear a sheitel the night of the wedding. And she's like, well, that's not my custom. There was no flexibility whatsoever. And that leads to a crisis, a very big crisis. You need to be looking for an individual who's a mashpia. One of the things that I often tell the women is that the man must be a mashpia and the girl must be a makabel. A mashpia is an individual who gives warmth, who gives affection, who gives love. Forget about the money. And the makabel allows him to receive. There's a great personality who does a lot of dating mentoring. His name is Manis Friedman. He wrote a very beautiful article in the cover story of Ami magazine in Tu B'Av. And they asked him, what is the greatest problem that you think is taking place in dating in Shalom Bayis? And he says, this is concept of the man not taking responsibility and the woman not being able to be the makabel. And he cites a story of a person who told him, I've been going out with someone for 2 years, it's schlepping out, but I don't know, I just can't finish for some reason with it. I can't get to the closure with it. He's 99% of everything that I want. But 1% he's not. So he says to her, what's the 1%? She says, Rabbi, I'm afraid I'm embarrassed to tell you. Well, if you don't tell me, I can't help you. Well, he doesn't act like a giver. So he says to her, I'm sorry, that's not the 1%, that's the 99%. The rest is 1%. And I saw this right in front of me last week. I had a frum girl call me from the 5 towns. I'd like to speak with you. Fine. She came in, we chatted. I'm going out with someone for 4 months. She's divorced. With 2 kids. What I'm about to tell you shocks me, but I've had 3 of them in the last 10 days. Her husband came out of the closet as Mishkab Zachar. I've had 3 of those in the last 10 days, Beis Yaakov graduates. Yeah. And I was like, wow. And the day he announced it, he completely flipped and became fry. And now she's dating someone, good guy. I got to meet him, and it's not going. I'm dating him for 4 months, and it's not going. So she says, what should I do? I said, let's bring him in, and I want to chat with him. Hello, Mendy, how are you? I changed the names. How are you? What's doing? I said to Bridget, could you go upstairs? I want to have a little chat with him. And I said to him, it's 4 months. We don't date 4 months that long in the frum world. You have to basically have a list. You have to know what you want. She's ready to go. What's the issues? Well, she doesn't nurture me. She doesn't give me warmth and affection. I said to him, you got it wrong. That's not her mission in life. That's your job. 2 days later, she's supposed to get her kids to the yeshiva. She's in the car. Murphy's Law kicks in. And she has a flat tire. She calls him to help her. And she's in stress. He comes. And instead of helping her and change the tire and get the tool barn there, he's complaining to her how she doesn't call him and she's not there to give him attention and affection. I called her, Bridget, I think it's over. It's not for you. You need to find a guy that plays the role of the gever, that takes responsibility. That's key. Perhaps I could share a story with you, what it means to be a gever. A couple gets married in Shavuos time. The chassan's grandma, the Safta, has a custom to give a piece of jewelry to the new kala that comes into the family. And with that exception, that year, 2 weeks before the chasana, she knocks on the door of the prospective kala. She says, how are you? I want to give you this gift. She gives her a gift of a diamond ring that's even more beautiful than the engagement ring that she got. She's like overwhelmed with the chesed. And then, it was a little big, but she was embarrassed to tell the grandma that it was a little big, so it's okay. She put it on. The night of the wedding, she puts her wedding band on in front of it, and she's dancing the night away. Baruch Hashem, it's going great. Now it comes for Sheva Brachos, and Shabbos Sheva Brachos is in Netanya by his family. They're sitting at the meal when suddenly the chassan's mother notices, Zissi, where's the ring? Oh my gosh, I don't know. Maybe it fell off me when we were walking on the ocean. Netanya's a seacoast. I don't know. And she says, Zevi, I'm just praying that I left it by the sink yesterday when we washed for lunch. We washed and then we drove to your mother's house. And there was like nervous tension in the air. And suddenly there was a bit of cold front between the mother of the chassan and her. It wasn't really nice to her. To make matters worse, his mother goes up to the guest room and starts to filter through her stuff. She's mortified. Mortified. Her private stuff. After Shabbos, he runs into Demek Havdalah, he runs into his car, he drives the 20 minutes back to their apartment. He looks everywhere, he calls her up, says, I can't find it. It's not there. And from that day on, there was a cold front between the Kala and her mother-in-law. The husband of the father of the chassan sees what's going on and he wants to make shalom. Can't keep this up with the new couple. He invites them to a lunch where they were going to make shalom again, and he prepared a gift for the Kala, beautiful vase. After the lunch, he gives it to his wife and he says, present this to Zissi. So the mother of the chassan takes it and she's about to give it to her. She says, genius that she is, Zevi, I think you should carry this. Look what happened to the ring. World War III breaks out. I'm not coming back here again. It's over. We have no relationship whatsoever. The summer goes by. Now it's Rosh Hashanah time. And he has to get ready. He goes into the closet, put on his bekasha, He says, honey, wow, you're such a great cook. I can't even close the buttons anymore. And he's putting a little lump over here. Puts the hand in there, presto, the ring comes out. She's like in shock. She says, wow, it's not me, you're l'shlam mazel. She says, I didn't do this, you did it. What's the first phone call she made to? Her mother-in-law. It's your son, it's not me. And she felt so vindicated, so relieved. From that day on, he was the butt of her jokes. If she had to make a deposit in the bank and she gave it to him to drop off, do you need security guards to go with you? Maybe you'll lose it. Or if he wanted to take the kids to the park, she was like, jab him. Should I come along with you so that everything's okay? And this is how things proceeded. And the years went, oh, thank you so much. And the years went by. And grandma now is the Olam HaEmes. And you know how women are, they get bored of their jewelry. So she happens to be walking one day in Yerushalayim and she spots the jewelry store that the Savta used to shop in. And she walks in, she sees and she admires some pieces. And she says, my husband's Savta used to come and shop. Are you sure? I remember Mrs. Bernstein, wonderful woman. She bought all her stuff by me. And she bought this ring too. And she shows him, she had been informed of how much it was worth. He evaluated the ring and it was double the amount. He looks at it and he says, it's a gorgeous piece, but I have to be honest with you, I didn't sell this ring. What do you mean? She only shopped by you. I know my stuff. I have certain suppliers. This is not my ring. Here's what I want you to do. Go back home, open the kasefet, the safe, bring me back the certificate, because I keep documents. He was very organized. She went back home, she opens the safe, she pulls out the GIA survey, the value of the ring and the certificate, when everything looked kosher, until she spots one document and she turns white as a ghost. And she waits now for Zevi to come home. When Zevi comes home, she tells him, Zevi, I decided to go into the jewelry store where grandma used to shop because I wanted to trade up. Okay, whatever you want. Because you have my bracha. Go for it. He said, you know what? I showed it to him. He said it doubled in value. I can even buy 2 pieces if I want. Fine. So he said he didn't sell it to her. He told me to go home and open the safe and get him the certificate. I came home and I got the certificate and everything looked in order until I spotted the receipt. We got married in Shavuos time, which was May. So Zevi, why does the receipt say 2 days before Rosh Hashanah in September? And then I put 2 and 2 together. You went and bought me a whole brand new ring so that I can make shalom with your mother. And all those years, you were the brunt of my jokes and I didn't say a word to you. And now I figured out why twice a week you were never around at night. Because you took another job to pay off the ring. That's a gever. That's a mashpia. Okay, let's go to my toolbox. I came here to give you a toolbox of how to do effective strategies. We're going to take our lessons from a journey in a car. Before we get on a long journey, we need the following. We need a map and we need a GPS. What is my destination? What's my strategy? And I'll get into that later. On how to achieve a great shidduch. I need a strategy, because if I don't have a strategy, I can't get to where I want to go. What are my goals? 2, I need road signs, which means you need proper road markers. And how does that translate? We need teachers to guide us. I need a Rav, I need a Rebbitzin, I need a dating mentor. So many people are clueless today. They have no idea what they're doing. Does a Beis Yaakov girl have to come and tell me that she was married for 2 weeks because her husband was on the phone with his mother for 2 hours the night of the wedding in the hotel? No strategy. No idea what you're getting involved with. And I'm talking to you that the girls who sit in front of me are poster child girls for Beis Yaakov. We need an education. Motor oil. Determination to succeed. And I'll get into that. You need to have determination, especially today, when sometimes the chips are down. It's not an easy thing to be in shidduchim, but we need determination, and I'll give you chizik in that too. Powerade and energy bars. We need emunah. Without that, it can be a very long and arduous journey. And 5, a cell phone. You need to take a cell phone on the journey. The road to life, the road of life, should not be traveled alone. Make sure Hashem is your partner. You got to be davening. Okay. Zelik Pliskin writes something beautifully. He says in 1964, he read a poem that was written by Eliyahu Dessler, Michtav Eliyahu, genius. Man was beyond his time. And he wrote the following. And this is the lesson that I want to impart to you tonight. What is my modus operandi of how to live? Revelia writes, the past is only memories, the future is but only hopes. Focus on the present, for that is where your life really is. It consists only of tests. He says he memorized the poem and he reviews it all the time. Keep climbing and elevating yourself. Keep connecting with our Father, our King, our Creator, our Sustainer. Keep doing good in the world. I always ask the girls, are you doing chesed? Are you involved in your community? Can you do more with your time? Make sure. Keep doing acts of kindness. Keep gaining more wisdom. Keep up the efforts of being the best you that you can be. Your life challenge is to appreciate all that you can appreciate about the present of your life. Forget about the past, it's not there anymore, and the future is not here yet. Your life challenge is to experience more joy in your davening and your learning, and more fulfillment in your work, to become a kinder, more compassionate individual. So with that in mind, today is the greatest day of your life. Today is the best day, because today is the only day that counts. All future days have not occurred yet, so today is the only day that you have to worry about and focus on. What can I do now to move forward in my goals? Making and reaching high priority goals creates a meaningful life. The most important concepts for anyone who truly wants to live a happy life. And that starts with gratitude. Wait a second. Yeah, I'm there. Let me share an interesting story with you that I saw in a WhatsApp chat this week, which is absolutely amazing. There was a Hasidic fellow who lives in my neck of the woods in Brooklyn, New York. And he was the most careful driver. If it was a 25-mile zone, he went 20. Perfect record. One day he's driving, when a Meshuggah lady decides to just go right into the street and walk right in front of him. Suddenly he doesn't know what to do. He makes a massive turn of the steering wheel and goes up the sidewalk where the most frail looking man, an old man and old woman are standing. Kills them on the spot. He's beside himself. He's depressed. His friends are trying to snap him out of it. It wasn't your fault. You meant well. The Meshuggah lady, what were you supposed to do? And he can't get out of this depression. It's atzvus. Finally, after 60 days, they said, that's it, enough's enough. Let's write a letter to Reb Chaim Kanievsky. Reb Chaim is, as we know, very brief in his responses. He read the letter after a certain amount of time, and he writes back an answer. They're waiting for the answer. The Rabbi says, we mailed off the answer. It arrives into Brooklyn, New York. They open the letter. Reb Chaim wrote one word, Amalek. What does that mean? His friend said, you see, Reb Chaim's trying to tell you that's the spirit of Amalek. It's trying to make you down and depressed. You're not supposed to fall to it. Okay, he was a bit, mitnachem. He was at peace to some extent. He happened to have been living in a very tight apartment. And for the longest while, he was looking for an upgrade. from 2-bedroom to 3-bedroom. Meanwhile, he's looking. There was a trial because homicide. They came to court. The judge, he got up. He said, listen, I have a perfect record. You can check my DMV records, my motor vehicle records. I never had a ticket for anything. So the judge says, okay, let's get the choker, the investigator, on the scene at the date of the event. The investigator gets up and he testifies. There was a motor oil spill. We saw there was a filmy spill on the floor. And as a result, the tire is skidded. The man is exonerated. He really didn't do anything wrong. The judge went with that and he was exonerated. A month later, a realtor calls him. He says, we found you a great apartment. Not so far from where you live. He goes to check out the apartment. In the living room, he's met with an incredible sight. A picture of the old men and women that he killed. This is really a bad nightmare he's feeling about this. And he tells his wife, let's get out of here. I'm going to lose my mind. But she convinces him, let's take a look, Dov. Maybe, you never know. They take a walk inside the bedroom. There's the old man in a picture, young, dressed in a Nazi uniform in Treblinka, the very same camp that burnt his father and his mother. Reb Chaim knew what he was doing. You killed the person who killed your parents. Say thank you. That's gratitude. Whatever happens in our life, as Rabbi Eliezer says, challenges to test us and make it great. So the person who had killed his parents and many other Jews got his just desserts. We have to understand Hashem runs the world. And one of the things I spoke about is determination. And I'll put this out for everything that we need in life. Are you interested in finding a better job? This was written by a man called Moshe Goldberger, Talmud Muvuk of Avigdor Miller also. Wrote many, many books on self-growth. I happen to have written a book with him on feet. Are you interested in finding a better job, a shidduch, a house? Want to make more money? You want to finish Shas for the men? Achieve a happier marriage? Pray with more concentration? Learn new skills? The secret lies in applying the teachings of our sages. The way you want to go is the way Shemaim will lead you. Or if you want to say it another way, he who comes to be purified is helped. Ali Shur explains what that means. Shlomo Olbe, it comes down to one word, desire. You need to have desire. That's key. I'll have a desire to get married, so I'm going to make it important. I have a desire to grow in my learning, so I'm going to make it important. I have a desire to get a promotion at work, so I'm going to make it important. It's desire. You don't have to be a genius to succeed or lucky. Nothing stands in the way of one who is determined. And determination is a necessary fuel for us who are in the Shidduch Parsha. You may be poor, you may be uneducated, you may be old or young, and the principle can apply at any time. Make the choice to be determined, and you will be on the road to greatness. Determination makes all the difference between a person who's successful and one who's not. What great goal can you tackle if you knew you would not fail? What would you do if you received $1 million now? What would you do if you discovered that you only had 6 months to live? I spent 14 years in Chaim, Berlin. There was an incredible Rosh Yeshiva there, Yitzhak Hutner. I missed him. I had his son-in-law, Ron Schechter. He got a letter from one of his Talmidim, who now was a Rebbe in the Midwest. Rabbi Yitzhak Hutner had trained most of the Rebbeim of the last 40 or 50 years in America and Canada. He conveyed his pessimism regarding his potential for spiritual greatness. Rebbe, I'm not who I was when I was in Beis Medrash. I had such high idealistic expectations in life. And now look at me, I'm nothing. He was down, pessimistic. Listen to the answer that he gets from Yitzhak Hutner. Your letter has reached my hand. Your words have reached my heart. One of the failings that we all make in life is that we focus on the lofty level of the great tzaddikim and tzadkoniyos, on how they're complete in certain areas. At the same time, we omit the struggles that they had to deal with in life, that they previously raged within them. A listener would get the impression that these individuals came out of the womb perfect. Everyone is awed by the purity of speech of the Chavetz Chaim, considering it a miraculous phenomenon. The person, he didn't speak Lashon Hara, but who knows of the battles and the struggles and the obstacles and the slumps and regressions that the Chavetz Chaim encountered in his war with the Yetzer Hara before he became the Chavetz Chaim. There are many such examples to which a discerning individual as yourself can certainly apply. The mistake is, it says in Mishlei, Kesheva yipol tzaddik v'kam. 7 times the tzaddik will fall and get up. No, he says. Where do you put the comma? Rather, Kesheva yipol kama, tzaddik v'kam. 7 times the regular ordinary person falls, and because he falls and he gets up again, then you become a tzaddik. Then you become a tzaddikis. Where do you put the comma? Many people don't know that Rabbi Yosef had a broken engagement. Let me tell you the story. This is what it means to get up. It was my father's Rabbi. I was born in Cairo, Egypt. Rabbi Yosef was chief rabbi of the country, and he was my father's Talmud Muvak of his, including my uncles. Anyway, his son, who's now the chief rabbi, tells this story. Many people don't know that my father had a broken engagement. Let me tell you what happens. He's engaged. Rabbi was exacting with his time. His life was Torah all the way, every minute. This is in the 1940s, when he had been a student in Purat Yosef, which is right there next to the Kotel. His Kala comes in. Nu Ovadia, Mata Choshev Lenech Laseret. What do you say? We go to the movies tonight. So innocently he says to her, Maholech Shama. What takes place there? Ata Yodea, you know, Ish Kofetz Me'etz Le'etz. A man jumping from a tree to tree. Tarzan. So he innocently responds, Ani lo holech. I don't go. I can't go. I have obligations. I have to say shir. I have Sadarim. And she walks out storming. 2 days later, she hits him with a hazmana in Beis Din. Nekach ta'os. Like, you deceived me. I thought I was going to have a life where I was going to have, a modern lifestyle and go to the movies and enjoy. And this gets to a Beis Din. Ravaja doesn't want to have an embarrassment to Torah or anything, so he walks up to the Av Beis Din and he says to him, I'm going to ask the Rosh Hashiva to give me a job. I'll put back the Sfarim on the shanks. He'll pay me for that, and whatever money I get, she can have. Fine. Okay, they settle it. Years go on. He passed away in 2013. In 2012, there's a knock on the door in Rehov HaKablan, where he lived, in Har Nof. The Gabbai answers. Little old lady. Ken? He asks her very kindly, Matrotza. And she says to him, Tagid la Rav she'hashiduch harishon shelo po. His first shidduch is here to see him. That's the first girl. Well, now she's an old lady. So a little old lady walks in, and she's talking to now, he's a Sarah Torah. And she's telling him how difficult her life was. She never married it to get married. She needs help economically. So he hears her out, no problem. He tells the Gabbai to saderota, set her up, give her what she needs, give her a budget to live on, make sure she has what she needs, food, appliances, etc. She's getting ready to leave. Look how Hashem watches us in life. As she's about to walk out, she turns around and does a 180, and she looks at him. Tada, she says, L'Rav Nichvad, Yishecha Mazal. You have Mazal. Why? After you broke the shidduch, I had to go to the doctor, the bidigat dam, to have some blood tests. And they found I could never have children. Had you married me, you'd have had 0 kids. He ended up having 11 tzaddikim tzadkoniyos as kids. Know that Hashem is there, and He watches us. But don't think for a second that the giants came out of the womb giants. They had their struggles. They had their issues. And because of their struggles, they became great. Ramichel Yehuda Lefkowitz, giant. He was Rosh Yeshiva of Panevish L'Tzeirim. Was a beloved teacher of the Jewish people. He gave advice and guidance to thousands. There was one story that stands out. Rav Michal Yehuda revealed a personal secret. A younger man came with a whole slew of problems. He had made numerous mistakes in his life, which caused him tremendous difficulties. His repeated failures left him without any confidence. He was a broken man. There was only one area in which he was successful, Limud Torah. When he opened up a Gemara, he was in heaven. He learned well and he really enjoyed it. But the challenges he faced overwhelmed him entirely. Rabbi Michal Yehuda encouraged him, don't give up hope, it's okay. And he pushed him to immerse himself in his learning. The younger man wanted to accept the advice, but he couldn't understand Rabbi Michal Yehuda's response. I don't want to deal with Torah study. Now what does it have to do with me? I came from the Chama. Rabbi Michal Yehuda says, you know what, let me tell you a story. 70 years ago, a young married man endured an unimaginable tragedy. He was carrying an urn, a samovar. You know, we prepare for Shabbos, except that it cooks. This one already had cooked water, boiling water, and he's holding it, and he's going in now, put it on the counter. Unbeknownst to him, his 1-year-old daughter was in his legs. She tripped, the water went right all over her, he killed her on the spot. Days passed, and the young fellow was losing hope on life. He had no desire to live, no desire to learn, nothing. And someone suggested, you're going to just end up shriveling up and die. You've got to go see the Chazon Ish. He's the only one who can get you out of this mess. He walked into the home of the Gadol Hador, and he burst out crying. Utterly shattered, he begged for some sort of consolation. Chazon Ish started to ask him, okay, what are you learning? Baba Basra. What sugya? Oh, and he started to handle and learning. 15-20 minutes goes by where suddenly the man says, Chod Rav, I didn't come here to handle and learning. I have no desire to live. You have to help me get on with living. And the Chazon Ish looked at him, he says, you want to live? That's the only way you're going to go on. Take nechama in your learning. This is going to be your survival. Rabbi Michal Yehuda Lefkowitz looks at the younger man and says, that was me. I killed my daughter. And if not for the Chazon Ish telling me that piece of advice, I'd have been an old man feeding pigeons in the parks in Bnei Brak today. He went on to greatness. Determination. Can never give up. Never, ever, ever, ever. I want to get on to some dating stuff now. Okay. I want to hold on to this. This is important. The dating process is cloaked in mystery. Should I judge with my head or should I judge with my heart? What should I be looking for in a spouse? The world of dating has gotten progressively more intricate and more confusing, and we ask the $1 million question, why do you think you're not married yet? We get the stock answer, I just haven't met my b'shirt yet. But we've yet to meet anyone who couldn't have done more to facilitate the process. For some, they simply need to meet more people. For others, it's looking for a diamond rather than a diamond in the rough. Some of us have commitment issues, emotional burdens, or an inability to share our inner selves that causing others to misjudge us. One of the things I spend a lot of time with is simply teaching young men and women how to communicate on dating. I had a girl, Beis Yaakov graduate, who went out 20 times, yet had no clue if he was right for her, Because she never bothered to delve into any kind of deep discussion about anything. Did you talk about children? Not really. Did you talk about hashkafa? We didn't touch it a little bit. So what did you do for 2 months? After I prepared a top 10 list for her, he had nothing that she needed. She was out of that relationship within 24 hours. So there's always something we can do. There's always an obstacle that we have to work on. That's very important. Something we can do to change, to affect a better result. I have to share with you an incredible piece written by Rabbi Yaakov Solomon. And he writes the following. There's a word that scares all of us. It's the magic 6-letter word called change. Change? You want me to change? Why should I change? What did I do wrong? Maybe the change is for the worse. I don't know if I want to change. This is where I buy my fish. This is my fish store. Why don't I try another store? No, I'm happy where I am. This is when I wake up. This is how I drive. This is where I shop. This is when I go to sleep. This is how much tzedakah I give. And it's good. Consistency is beautiful. It's good while it's working. But what if it's not working? Let's say you're not getting close to getting married. Let's say you're not being read shidduchim. We know people like that. Or you're always being read the wrong ones. People don't share the same goals, the same values. What do you do then? Isn't there a time that we have to look at ourselves and look at our children or look at our grandchildren and say, you know, this is not working. There's something wrong. Let's be clear about our intentions. We're not blaming anyone here. But there's a time we have to be honest with ourselves. You have to say something is wrong and something is not working. And now let's take a source from this week's Parsha. I wish I could say this to our Torah, but it was Rav Palm's, and it's a beauty. Eliezer has concluded his pursuit. He witnesses enough miracles and qualities of chesed that he is certain he found the one. That's the one for Yitzchak. There's no doubt that it's Siyata D'Shmai that brought him to Rivka. As the agreement is about to be consummated, Eliezer utters an astonishing charge to Lavan and Besuel. Ve'ata im eschem osim chesed ve'emes im adoni hagidu li. If you're ready to do truth and kindness with my master Avram Avinu, fine. If this is a good idea, we do the shidduch. Ve'im lo hagidu li, but if not, tell me. Ve'efnei yamin or small, I leave. I go left or right. Hold on for a second. This is the man who just a few psukim said, V'Hashem itzliach darki. Every request and every condition I put down, Hashem fulfilled. Whatever I wanted, she has to give me water for me and the camels the way I want it. And the trip, instead of 10 days, was 3. Hashem, the kifizas derech, everything went well. And yet, he's ready to walk away from the deal. Rav Palm says, what we see here is that the flexibility was extraordinary. The efnei yamin or small. He had every single sign you could imagine. And what does he say? Sometimes you have to reassess and redirect your efforts. We'll go to Bnos Lot. We'll go to Bnos Yishmael, whatever we have to. Even though he had all those indicators. Admitting that we're stuck sometimes is hard, but the key word is flexibility. We've got to be ready to act on v'efnei yamin or small. And how are these changes adaptable to us? Well, it's attitude and action. Here's attitudes. I only want a tall boy. I need a rich girl. I don't like blondes. It's just not me. I got to share a story with you. I get a phone call from one of the Chavetz Chaim sniffim in America. Need your help. What's going on? A Gevir's son, the Gevir's worth $500 million, is going out with a girl whose father's worth $1 billion. Can you settle it? What? I said, okay, let me meet with them. So I met with them. Both from. The father of the girl had just sold a hedge fund for $1 billion, and the other one up there. So I said, XYZ, why are you going out with her? She has nothing in common with you. She wanted him to sign a prenup. The father of the girl wanted to sign a prenup that if there's a divorce, they're already negotiating the divorce before the wedding. Sign a prenup that in case there's a divorce, you're not entitled to anything that she owns, because she's going to get towards your $50 million, because she has 3 brothers, and it's going to be times by 4. And you don't get into anything that she's going to inherit, and she's entitled to 50% of what you own. It was all negotiation for money. It was ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. There wasn't even any love. He flew down to Miami, where she walked with her mother 6 feet ahead of him. I said, this is ridiculous. After a few sessions, I said, this is not for you. Walk away, please. You understand? This is what happens today. We get into we've lost touch with reality. Completely. So again, I want a tall boy. I need a rich girl. I don't like blondes. It's not me. I can't marry someone with a beard. It goes back to what I started the conversation tonight. It's not my look. I went on blind dates. I didn't know what my wife looked like. My Rosh Yeshiva told me, go out. I went. That's it. Done. Today, everyone has to see 3 versions of the picture and numerous and profile and on and on. Okay, yes, we have to have some way to communicate. But we have really been corrupted by Western society. I often tell people it's like Charles Dickens today. It's the best of times, it's the worst of times. Depends how you want to look at it. We have more Torah being learned in the history of the world, but at the same time, their horrible values have crept into our frum lifestyle and affecting us. Or here's another one, but I temper it. I can't marry a Baal Tshuva. And I'm not saying you can't do the research, but if the person is in the system many years, and he's a Ben Torah, she's a Bas Yisrael, they can be supported with great references, and the friends. You got to keep your eye open. And it's not my language, but I'm going to tell you something that I agree with. It's precisely the combination of 2 divergent experiences that nourishes and nurtures the relationship. A true fulfillment of Ezer Kenegdo. We have to be careful with yichus and that. And a beautiful question is asked. What would have happened if Boaz took the same approach to Rus? We wouldn't have David HaMelech today. An open-mindedness. What? You want to read me a shidduch with that girl? She was once engaged. You don't expect me to consider that one. I'm sitting with a girl who's 26 years old from Lakewood this past week. And it was a bad marriage. Didn't last, maybe less than a year. She was divorced. A good, sweet girl who got into a mess. Baruch Hashem, but she's working now. She has a great degree. And I say to her, let me start looking at potential guys. And I'm looking only at guys, regular guys, never married before. I don't see the difference. Oh no, the Shadchanim are only reading me guys who are divorced. Why? Why should that be? You're not allowed to make a mistake in life? We all make mistakes. Let's evaluate the individual. Changing our actions and pursuing a soulmate can at times be a relatively minor challenge. Maybe it's changing our dress, our hairstyle, a different location for a date. Maybe our dates need to be shorter. Maybe our dates need to be longer. You never know. That's why we need someone to be there as a mentor, as a guide, to talk to someone who's influential, has experience, a seminary head. Maybe what you do on a date should be different. Maybe you should take a little more time to understand yourself, be more open on the date, learn how to become a little bit more vulnerable, or a little less open on your dates. Maybe you need to ask more questions. Maybe you're too busy trying to impress instead of finding out more about the person who's on the other side of the table. Maybe you need to go to a networking situation. Of course, sometimes your actions need to be a little bit more dramatic. Today, networking is the engine, and I'm going to get into that a little bit. Oh, here's another one. All too often, a name of someone you met years ago is dismissed. Not for me. Not for me. But people do change. Your needs may be different now. You may change yourself. His priorities could have shifted. I see this all the time. It's amazing. We in the Sephardic community, especially in Brooklyn, have this dynamic where we have legions of B'nai Torah today. First of all, it's unbelievable that I live in a community that 35 years ago, they ousted the man who ended up building the biggest institution of Torah learning in the Sephardic community, Ateret Torah, Rabbi for introducing 1 hour of learning on Shabbos. And they said, unacceptable, we don't want it in the shul. He has created today 7 kollelin, to the point where it's almost like taboo to ask for a working boy in the Syrian community today. It's unbelievable, the revolution that's taking place. And many of the people started out in co-ed yeshivas. Then they went to Lev Aharon, then they made their way to Mikdash Melech, from there to the Mir, from there to Brisk. Today, you can't recognize them. They're the best B'nai Torah in the world. Their love of Torah is authentic. So, chart the progress of the boy. Do a little homework. Many of them change. Yes, some for the bad, but a lot of them finally get it, and somewhere there's a seminal moment. And they become superstars in their own rights. So again, take a careful look at each name on the list. Many stories where people met 10 or 15 years previous have later gotten married. Try it again. I was in a room in Los Angeles lecturing on dating. There could have been 600 people in the room, all single. 20s, 30s, 40s. And so I said, look at you all. You know, I have a rule, my Rabbi Avigdor Miller taught us, it's so much better when people marry their own kind. The Yetzer Hara has enough of a easy time fomenting argument between husband and wife. Don't give him more ammunition. So, this happened to be an entire Persian setting. I said, you guys have it made. Look, hundreds of boys, hundreds of girls. No, I know them already. I said, that's good. No surprises. No, I know them already. Is that a reason? And as a result, you dismiss swaths of people like that. You have to be careful. You understand? Sometimes it's good to know someone. You know what you're getting into. No surprises. What are the ingredients for a successful marriage? Rav Eli Dessler says, standing under the chuppah, the chassan and kala both want to give. Each dreams of making their spouse happy. But suddenly after the wedding, too many individuals start to think, what about my happiness? I got to watch out for me. If I don't look out for my rights, who's going to look out for me? And each half of the young couple begins to focus on themselves rather than their partner. And he continues, but hold on, what about the rest of the pasuk? If you're just for yourself, what are you? A narcissist who only thinks about themselves. And he continues, what is our purpose in this world? Lo la'atzmo nivra olam. You weren't created just for you. He explains that a person's greatness is defined by the size of his ani. An individual whose I alone is a small guy. A person whose anochi, whose I is him and his wife is even bigger. A person whose ani is him, his wife and his children is bigger than that. One who includes his kahal is bigger than that. One who includes his community is bigger than that. Look for a guy whose ani is wide, who's a giver. That's key. What are some of the things you should be on the lookout for? In choosing a life partner, we're concerned about personality, intelligence, religious values, family background, mutual goals and interests, and looks. A marriage can fail because people don't judge with objectivity. They tell themselves what they want to know, instead of thinking objectively and putting it up to a third party. Sometimes projecting virtues on the other person when there are none. People close their eyes, unwilling to see what they don't want to see as they barrel ahead to the chuppah. If you're looking for someone cultured and refined, don't tolerate someone who's narrow-minded and crude. If you're searching for someone who's ruchani, who's spiritual, don't tolerate someone who talks about money and gashmias all the time. If you want a warm and happy and accepting spouse, don't settle for someone who's depressed, self-centered, or judgmental. They asked me, there's a show called Headliners. I was interviewed by Israeli radio this week. It's a frum show. What one midah do you look for in talking to your clients? That you look for inside them, and you want them to see, and you want them to look for in their prospective spouse? I said, Simchas HaChaim. That's it for me. Why? It's a long journey. And if that person wakes up every day to the glass half empty, beware, stay away. I want Simchas HaChaim. That's key. But being cognizant of the person's flaws does not mean rejecting that person. We all have faults. Look at the person's flaws in relation to their positive qualities and do a cheshbon. If the positive outweighs the negative, it's good, unless there's one specific thing about the boy that annoys you and you just can't get it out of your head. And you've talked to someone about it and it's there, that's a problem. Search for a friend, someone you can talk to, someone you can confide in, someone who listens, someone who understands you, someone who values your opinion, who's not dismissive of you, who doesn't cut you off in the middle, someone you can trust, someone whose character you admire, someone with a healthy self-esteem. That's important. Shalom Harush writes an interesting story about a guy who came home and complained, I'm not making it at work, people make fun of me, I'm about chalash, I'm weak. And the wife propped him up and gave him security and confidence and strengthened him up, and in the end she divorced him. Why? Pashut. Because the woman was looking for him to play the role of the giver, and he wasn't. His self-esteem was down. He didn't work on it. And that's not, she wants to be supported. She doesn't want to be the supporter. Even though she pumped him up and boosted him, but he planted a seed in her head that he was a failure. So you have to work on that. And when you think there's something you need to work on, do it now. Don't think for a second you're telescoping any problem into your future, marriage will solve it. Baloney. Marriage will only magnify the problem. You got that? Fix it now. Whatever trauma, whatever emotional disturbance, whatever OCD, whatever it is, get rid of the problem now, or at least get a handle on it. Someone who knows how to respect your boundaries. I got a phone call from someone, a man in Lakewood, who tells me, is it appropriate that my wife reads all my text messages? I said, no. I have a phone, my wife has a phone, I don't know what's going on in her phone. It's not appropriate at all. Boundaries, very important. I could tell you a whole share on that one. By the way, I'm trying to give you little tidbits of everything, but I have at length on Torah Anytime 306 shiurim on dating. You can take your pick of what you want to hear. Go up and down the pages. I speak on almost every subject and I continue to refine it every week, either always coming up with new things. You know, the Torah is mechadish all the time. So, experience has taught us that looking into an individual's family and upbringing is one of the best ways to judge a person. Look at the family. Apples don't fall far from the tree. And again, while people can weather differences in culture and ethnicity, it brings on extra conflicts. Common backgrounds result in common expectations. Look for someone who's committed to working on themselves and wishes to do his part to develop a solid and mutual relationship. And ask yourself, will that person bring out the best in me? You will put on this world by HaKadosh Baruch Hu to perform a mission for Him. Will that person inspire you and motivate you to be the best that you can be? Oftentimes, I get a no on that. Too many times. When I ask daters, do you think that that person will inspire you, motivate you to be your best self? Don't know. Not really. I'm not here to pat myself on the back, but what you're getting tonight is Kodesh Kodashim. Write it down, review it. These are important things to ask yourself. When you have the tools, the decision is 1, 2, 3. You have clarity. Be aware of incongruent behavior, such as if he tells you one thing, but you see other things in action. Yeah, I get up for Vasikin every day. He's in bed every day till 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. Why? What's going on? I love my learning. Yeah, but the word's out that you're by the coffee room all the time. So, you have to, is he extremely sensitive and overly dependent? Will this get on your nerves? Is he complimentary or frequently criticizing? Is he inflexible? Is he dominating? Is he happy and easygoing or too intense all the time? Is he positive or is he negative? Is he cynical? Watch out for a guy who believes he's never wrong, who blames you for everything and never apologizes for any misdeed. Examine every aspect of his personality and ego to decide, how will this affect me? Do I enjoy his company? Basic question. Do you look forward to the next date? Is he pleasant to be with? Do you have common interests? Look for maturity and responsibility. Mature people are committed to working on the marriage. They're willing to give and share without constantly measuring or worrying that everything is tit for tat. I see a lot of, unfortunately, people in their 30s or 40s divorced from the frum community, where there was all this verbal abuse that went on for years, emotional abuse, where the guys didn't work on the marriage, weren't around. Does he communicate well with you? Does he get you? Does he get what you're saying? Is he tuned into your needs and feelings? Is he easily angered? Watch out for avoidant behavior. When he doesn't answer certain questions, or he avoids them, or he ducks them. Red flag. Why is he avoiding answering those questions? Always be aware that any person you're considering marrying will have some issues or behaviors that are not exactly to your liking. This does not mean you have to reject the individual, but you have to ask yourself, have I delved into the issues? Have I inquired further? Have I done further investigation? Little sensitivities can tell a big story. You walk into a restaurant, and it's the middle of August, and you get a seat right under the air conditioning vent, and you're freezing. Does he offer to ask the waiter to change the chair, to change the table? Little sensitivities. Does he worry that you're cold or uncomfortable? Be aware for religious differences. I was at a singles event last week where a 30-plus-year-old woman approaches me from the Upper West Side, and I went to speak. You know what? I'm just going to go out with a guy who's not religious at all. And it is what it is. I said, you're making a huge mistake. You go to shul on Shabbos, he's playing tennis. What do you have in common? Well, you know, he'll get it after a while. No. Rav Eli Lopian would say, what you see is what you get. He has to at least make strides towards that now. Make sure he starts making strides towards that now. If he starts to learn and he goes to shul, I could get it. But if not, no. So I have to share a beautiful story with you, which really exemplifies that point. The Baal Tshuva movement started about 40 years ago. It was in North America and also was in Europe. There was a girl named Sarah whose ideal in life was to marry a learning boy because her older sister also married a learning boy. They were a traditional Moroccan modern family. She dressed with tznius. She tells her father, you know, Dad, I'm going to go for my CPA. I'd like a boy in learning. The father was Tamim. He didn't really get it. So he told his brother, my daughter's looking for a boy. I want to set her up with a nice boy. It's about time Sarah started, building her Jewish home. He goes, I got the perfect guy for her. Blind date, they're going to meet in the lobby of a hotel in Paris. She's waiting there when suddenly she's approached with a guy who's wearing a yellow t-shirt and jeans. Sarah Cohen? Yeah? Who are you? My name is Yossi. You here to send me a message or something? He said, Yossi, I'm the guy who's going out with you. She's like in total shock. What do you mean? They said the boy that I'm supposed to go out with is from, and he learns. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm religious. You don't even go to shul. Oh, I do. Twice a year. Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. And I learn. I'm going to become an architect. In 6 months. In 6 months, he's going to get his master's degree. And she says, what is my uncle thinking? And they start a dialogue that goes for 45 minutes in which they're arguing the pros and cons of why he disagrees with her, that she should marry a learning boy and support him. After 45 minutes of this dialogue, he says to her, he throws down the gauntlet, it's a challenge. And what if I became that guy? And she says, nah, never happened. Yeah, it's like an Eskimo going to Miami Beach. Okay, they walk away. 30 days later, they get a phone call from the uncle who had made the shidduch. And he says to his brother, he says to him, Robert, what did she do to him? He dropped out of the University of Paris, 6 months left to his master's in architecture. He went to yeshiva. And the father is making me crazy. And he wants a second date with her. And she's like struggling, no, not for me, no. She finally conceded to the second date. And this time it wasn't a t-shirt and jeans. This time it was a man who walks in with a nice jacket, white shirt, black trousers. He's got a velvet kippah on, and he's thanking her for having encouraged him to go to learning. And he tells her how much he's admiring it. And they're having a nice conversation. And after the date, he asks her, can we do a third date? And she says, no, can't do it. All right. So, she goes on her merry way, he goes on, he enrolls in Or Sameach in Monsey. Sarah's no longer 21, the years are flying by, 25, 27. She's now 31. And she's wondering, whatever happened to Yossi? Yossi made it to Monsey. From Monsey he went to Yerushalayim, where he was in Avrech, in the Kollel. He loved his learning so much that Yossi today is the Rosh Kollel to 40 boys in Kollel. Married. And he got married. And the years continue to fly by. And she's now 38 years old, 17 years later. When the news comes back from Israel that Yossi's wife and 2 children out of 5 were killed in a terrorist attack. And Yossi is going to be in Paris in a few months to see family. And the talk in Paris is, you missed out, you want to try again? And she concedes to, going on a date with him. Same location, same spot, hotel. She's waiting for him. And the sight is amazing. In walks in a Rosh Kollel with a Hamburg, a kapata, b'chvodo ba'atzmo, regal. Sits down. Sarah? It's been 17 years. And he's telling her about his life. And how his wife was so grateful to Sarah. For if not for Sarah, she never would have married him because of the bin Torah he became. And how she used to go to the Kosel to daven for Sarah. She should get a shidduch. She starts to cry. And she says, you had Rachmanis on me. I didn't have Rachmanis on you. 4 dates later, they're engaged. She said, this time I wasn't going to make a mistake. And on the day of their wedding, he gave her a souvenir. And they put that souvenir inside their photo album. The first kippah he ever wore. They had 2 kids. Baruch Hashem. So, Marriage is a lifelong commitment, so it's important to know the challenges that you face, especially regarding physical or mental disorders. Look out for signs of addiction. Unfortunately, in our world, we've been hit with all type of junk. I don't want to get into it. I don't think it's for public consumption. See me later. But we have stuff, and we have to be on the lookout for it. How does he talk about his parents? Observe how he talks about his parents. It tells you a lot. Is he respectful or disrespectful about the way he talks about his parents? Or how do the parents deal with their kids? Are they polite to each other? Do they respect each other's opinions? Do the parents themselves have common values and interests? How do they discipline their children? And how do they treat with their other children? How does he treat his parents? Does he speak about them in a negative way? Does he refuse to make decisions without them? Unfortunately, there are people who are products of dysfunctional families or diverse circumstances. Be aware if there are any untoward family dynamics. Does he get along with his cousins and friends? Easy stuff you can find out when you date. You just have to know how to ask yourself your questions in a very sly, deceptive way, but you can get the answers. Does everyone tell you to stay away from him or her? Don't ignore warning signs. You have to have also common values. Two people can enjoy each other's company, but do they have the same goals? She may be content with a simple lifestyle. He hopes for a lavish lifestyle. Could cause a crisis. He likes to travel the world and go to every Pesach program. She's not into that, and their income can't make that or can afford that. He enjoys the job he has, but she has much more ambitions. She may love to travel while he refuses to leave his home. He may love to party, and she only feels comfortable in the privacy of her own house. Things you need to work out when you date. He may enjoy lots of company, but she feels it's an invasion of their privacy. He may be dreaming of moving to Eretz Yisrael, and that's not on your bandwidth. So you have to talk. Don't ignore these differences, assuming they'll just work themselves out when you get married. Don't send your problems into the future. Don't assume you'll change the other person. A common misconception is, if he really loves me, he'll do it for me. He's thinking the same thing about you. You're trying to change him, he's trying to change you. We have gridlock. The only person you can change is yourself. Make sure you talk about marriage and your aspirations of the future. And make sure you could love the person the way he is. Of course, while committing to accepting the differences, you can grow together in order to make each other happy. Life will never be perfect once you marry. Life's ups and downs will be there just as they were there when you were single. Marriage is the challenge of creating a comfortable existence with another person, with the benefit of a partner to share the vicissitudes of life. Choose carefully. As you are single, don't compare yourself to anyone. I'm now going to just hit little points quickly and close it up. Don't compare yourself to anyone. Everyone has their mazel, everyone has their time. Comparing, you never know what's going on. If I could tell you some of the stories, I spend 11 hours a day, 12 hours a day, sometimes 13 hours a day in dating, coaching, dating, mentoring, and shidduchim work. I sat with a young woman. I put out a video on Tu B'Av for the organization, I think it was Lev La'achim, which helps all these girls who are, God forbid, trapped by Arabs in Arab villages. Out of that came a referral. One of my close friends in Brooklyn, someone called me up, very nice lady, not really from, and she says, can my daughter come and see you? Sitting in front of me was the granddaughter, which I came to understand was the granddaughter of a man who could put Trump to shame in terms of how many towers he owns. But completely miserable, not happy. My parents are taking us to Italy next week. I don't want to go. I'm sick and tired already of these trips. They're already retired in their 50s. I said to her, it's a shame you don't have Torah in your life. I have an infinitesimal fraction of what you have in the bank. Nothing. But I'm so much happier than you. Because I have a frum lifestyle. And I'm so happy with my life. I'm happy because I have Hashem, I have Torah. This very same girl now is going to go to Neve in December with her best friend. It's funny, I want to show you, it's interesting. She comes and goes. She referred me a girl who sent me a WhatsApp. I couldn't even look at the WhatsApp. It was a t-shirt, leggings. Who today learns with me an hour a week. Is on the way to conversion. Was dating a guy when they found out that the mother was converted by a conservative rabbi. She could have said, not for me. She lives in a very posh area in Long Island. I'm doing this right, Rabbi. She's on her own, swallowing up Sfarim. Every sefer I throw at her, she takes it. Boom, 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 boom. Every week we learn together. You never know. Okay, but I want to get some signs for the girls to look out when you're dating. Does he push your boundaries? Much of which I spoke about tonight, but I want to just review them again. Is he very moody? Does he tell you who to be friends with? I had a case last year of a frum girl. Once they got engaged, he wouldn't let her talk to her mother. Watch out. She abruptly ended that engagement. Does he criticize your appearance? Does he react in situations of frustration while waiting for the waiter? I want my table now. Does he speak to you in a disrespectful or hurtful way? Has he threatened to hurt you, chas v'shalom? Does he take responsibility for his actions? Is he jealous or possessive? And do you often find yourself suddenly alienated from your friends because he's trying to now close you off? Pay attention to all these things. Okay, baggage we spoke about. That's good. What do other people have to say about the person that you're dating? Please, girls, I always tell the girls, it's me and your mother. That's it. Don't tell everyone your personal life. Dating, zip it. You don't need to have 20 advisors, including every friend. You need your Rebbitzin, and your parent or mentor and parent, and that's it. So choose wisely who you talk to. I think we did all this. We covered in terms of proper needs and wants. Okay. I do want to hit on networking. I want to review that. What should I be doing in terms of ishtadlus? That's important. Compile a list of potential contacts for your network. Think about from your network, your friends. Think about including your extended family, your relatives, close and not so close friends, people you've lost touch with, current and former teachers, rabbanim, neighbors, co-workers, people from your synagogue, classes, and community activities. You can gradually add others, including business people that you know. Ask 3 or 4 people you know well and respect for good judgment and integrity to be your references. So my rule of thumb is 2 or 3 people that are rebbitzin or rabbanim or spiritual people that have clout in the community who you know, and 2 people that are your friends that can speak to your personality that are married. I don't want single people on there. Tell them what you're up to in life. Make sure that they're abundantly aware. I always tell people that I prepare dating resumes for a lot of people. And when we do the resume and we pick our references, I want you, before I send out the resume to anyone, that you call every reference and tell them everything you're up to, where you're up to, what school. Imagine, I get calls all the time. All the time. I'm on many people's references. I want to be up to date. I'll get phone calls on people and I'll tell them truthfully, I haven't spoken to him in 6 years. I can't tell you current. I haven't spoken to him in 5 years. One person, I haven't spoken to him in 11 years. He still has me on his resume. So I don't know what he's up to. Make sure that your references are current and they know what's going on with your life. Approach the people in your network. You may feel awkward, but it'll get easier over time. And you can ask him, I have a special favor. My daughter is dating. I'm trying to get her to find the right person. Can I tell you a little bit about my daughter? Let them know. Just prepare your 30-second elevator pitch. Take the next step. Don't be shy about telephoning and asking questions once you find certain, once they read you some shidduchim. Talk to everyone who may be helpful. Give them your name and telephone number so they can be in touch with you in the future. And Shahar Satov, obviously, to anyone who suggests a shidduch. Common obstacles on the road to finding your soulmate, and I'll close with that. Let go of the idea that you're going to find 100% of what you're looking for in a soulmate. We're not saying to lower your standards. We're just simply saying that no one is perfect. One of the biggest mistakes we see in dating is that people reject the date because they didn't meet all their expectations. Remember, a top 10 list, 6 out of 10 is all you need. Make sure the top 10 list are needs. Needs means has a Rabbi, spiritually growing, generous, kind, considerate, has a parnasa path, doesn't have anger issues, not tall, dark, slim, handsome, his parents own a condo on Miami Beach. That doesn't mean anything to us. Goes to Israel for Sukkot every year. That's nonsense. That's a want. A want is a superficial concept. Let go of some of the hours at work, etc. I had a case which just boggled my mind. I said, Tova, someone's calling you at 9:30. I go to sleep at 9 o'clock. What do you mean? You're in Shidduchim. Take the call. Let go of thinking that you're in this alone. So make sure you have someone to turn to for advice, a dating mentor, a Rav, a Rebbitzin. Let go of being hard on yourself. I'm such a klutz. It's my fault. No. Be confident. Be grateful. Be confident. It's very important. Let go of ingratitude. We spoke about that tonight. The secret to happiness is appreciation. I tell every single to read the thank you card every day. Whatever I tell them to do, I do every day. One of the biggest techniques to being happy is a Seder and Hakar Satov right after Shachris every day. I have my thank you card and I have 50 things that I'm grateful for that I wrote once and I repeat it every day. You start the day right. Have a Seder of gratitude every day. Besides the fact that it's immeasurable in creating Yeshuas. Hashem loves it when you're grateful. You got a flat tire? Thank you Hashem. You got a ticket? Thank you Hashem. It's for the best. And of course, all the good things that we have in our life. Let go of the need for something to happen immediately. Be flexible and trust that it'll come at the right time. Let go of thinking that dating is a quick, smooth process with no bumps along the way. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. Relationships require a lot of time and effort. So, patience. Patience is the key. It was an honor and pleasure to address this wonderful audience. Thank you so much for inviting me. To those out there who would like any of my help or suggestions, I think I have some of my cards. I'll find them. I'll get them later in case anyone wants my cards. You can reach me. It's very easy. Today, using WhatsApp, I speak to people all over the United States and the world. So I can be reached at 305-206-1916, or you can email me at drjackcohen18@gmail.com. Education and help is fundamental. It's important. If you can get help, get it. You'll get to your final goal much faster. Thank you so much. Good tavach.